I'm your host, Jenny, and today we're going to have a really exciting and helpful talk about something that so many English learners struggle with: listening. Yes, the IELTS English listening practice. Now, before you get scared by the word IELTS, don't worry. I promise this is not going to be some boring or complicated lecture. I'm going to explain everything in very simple English, just like a friendly conversation, and by the end of this full talk, you will know exactly how to improve your English listening skills, how to get better scores in IELTS, and most importantly, how to learn English quickly and naturally in your everyday life. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a cup of tea, and let's talk about this whole thing step by step together. You know, one thing I've noticed after teaching English for years is that most learners actually understand grammar and vocabulary quite well, but when it comes to listening, they suddenly freeze. They hear English and they can't catch the words. It all sounds too fast, or the accent feels strange, or the sentences blend together. You've probably had that moment too, right? You listen to a native speaker or a movie in English and you think, wait, what did they just say? Even though you know those words on paper, your ears just can't pick them up fast enough. That's completely normal, and it happens to almost every learner. The reason is not that your brain is slow, it's just that you haven't trained your ears enough. Listening is a skill, and like any skill, riding a bicycle, cooking, or playing guitar, it gets better only when you practice the right way. So today, we'll explore how to do that. Now first, let's think about what IELTS listening actually is. If you're preparing for the IELTS test, you probably already know that the listening section is one of 4 parts: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Many students think listening is the hardest because you only get to hear the audio once, and once it's gone, it's gone. You have to listen carefully, understand the question, and write the right answer all at the same time. Sounds stressful, right? But here's the good news. You can totally train yourself to handle that. You don't need to be a native speaker. You just need to learn how to listen smartly. Listening smartly means you don't try to understand every single word. Instead, you focus on the meaning, the keywords, and the context. When you train your ears to notice what really matters in a sentence, your comprehension gets much faster and easier. Let's say you hear something like, "The meeting has been rescheduled for next Thursday due to unforeseen circumstances." If you try to translate every word in your mind, you'll get lost. But if you only catch meeting, rescheduled, and next Thursday, that's enough to understand the main idea. That's exactly what happens in IELTS listening. They test if you can understand the main message, not if you can memorize every sound. So one of the first things you should do is stop trying to understand everything perfectly. Just focus on understanding enough to answer the question or follow the story. Now, you might be wondering, how do you actually train your ears to do that? Well, here's the secret. You don't need to only listen to IELTS audios or academic recordings. You can learn from real-life English too: movies, podcasts, YouTube videos, or even songs. The key is to choose things that are slightly above your level, not too easy but not too hard. If it's too easy, you won't improve. If it's too hard, you'll get frustrated. For example, if you can understand 60 to 70% of a video, that's perfect. It gives your brain something new to learn while still feeling comfortable enough to keep going. Every time you listen, your brain starts recognizing patterns, how words connect, how sounds change, how sentences flow. Slowly, you stop translating and start understanding directly in English. That's the magic moment when you feel like, wow, I can actually understand English without thinking in my own language. Another important thing to know is that English sounds in real life are not the same as what you see in your textbook. Native speakers often link words together. For example, want to becomes wanna, going to becomes gonna, and did you sounds like didja. So if you keep waiting to hear did you might miss it. That's why you should expose yourself to natural spoken English as much as possible. Watch interviews, listen to vlogs, and pay attention to how people really talk. You don't need to copy their accent. Just get used to hearing how English naturally flows. Over time, your ears will automatically start catching those connected sounds. Now, let's talk about concentration. One reason many students struggle with listening is that their mind keeps wandering. You sit down to practice, but after 30 seconds, your thoughts drift to something else, your phone, your lunch, or tomorrow's exam. It's normal, but you need to train your focus. When you listen, try to make it active. That means don't just listen passively while doing something else. Instead, listen with a goal. For example, before you play the audio, ask yourself, what is this about? Who is speaking? What kind of information should I look for? Then, after listening, summarize what you heard in your own words. This helps you stay engaged and remember more. Also, repeat listening is a great technique. Many learners think they should always listen to new things, but actually, repeating the same audio several times helps your ears and brain catch details you missed before. First time, just listen and get the main idea. Second time, try to catch specific words. Third time, read the transcript if you have it and follow along. Fourth time, listen again without reading. You'll be surprised how much more you can understand each time. It's like your ears slowly learn to recognize the rhythm of English. Now, let's connect this to IELTS again. The IELTS listening test has 4 sections, and each section becomes a little harder. You'll hear different types of recordings, like a conversation, a talk, a discussion, or a lecture. The accents might be British, Australian, or even Canadian. So don't just practice with one accent. Try to listen to different varieties of English so that nothing surprises you in the exam. You can find lots of free materials online with different accents. For example, listen to BBC Radio for British, ABC podcasts for Australian, and YouTube channels with American or Canadian speakers. The more you expose your ears to different styles, the more flexible your listening becomes. Another useful tip is to learn the art of prediction. When you look at the IELTS listening questions before the audio starts, don't just stare blankly. Read the questions carefully and predict what kind of information you might hear. If the question says, "What time does the train leave?" then you know you should listen for a number that sounds like a time. Maybe 7:30 or 9:15. If the question says, "Where will the meeting take place?" then you should listen for a location, maybe in the conference room or at the main hall. When you predict the kind of answer, your brain becomes ready to catch it, and you're less likely to miss it. Now, let's talk about something that every learner asks me. Jenny, how can I improve my listening quickly? Well, I'll be honest, there's no magic overnight solution. But there is a faster way. It's called consistency. If you listen just 15 minutes every day, that's much better than listening for 2 hours only once a week. Your brain loves small, regular practice. Even when you're busy, you can listen while you walk, cook, or travel. Make English a part of your daily life. Listen to short clips, imitate what you hear, and try to notice pronunciation and tone. Over time, your ears will get used to the sound of English and your confidence will grow. You can also combine listening with speaking practice. After listening to a short audio, pause and repeat what you heard. Try to copy the speaker's tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. This is called shadowing. It's one of the best techniques for improving both listening and speaking. It feels funny at first, but it really works because it forces your brain to match the sound and meaning together. Another thing that helps a lot is learning with context. Don't just memorize random words. When you listen, try to notice how words are used in real sentences. For example, if you hear the word appointment, pay attention to how it's used. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. That teaches you the real meaning, not just the dictionary definition. Context helps you remember better and understand faster. And please don't feel bad if you don't understand everything at first. Listening takes time. Even native speakers sometimes ask, "Sorry, what did you say?" So, be kind to yourself. Every time you practice, you are improving, even if you don't feel it immediately. Celebrate small wins, like understanding one more sentence than yesterday or catching a new accent. Those little steps make a big difference over time. So before we end this part, let me give you a small daily challenge. For the next 7 days, try to listen to English for at least 15 to 30 minutes every day. It can be anything you enjoy, a podcast, a short story, a YouTube video, or even an English song. The only rule is focus when you listen. Don't multitask. After you finish, write down 3 things you understood or learned. It could be new words, expressions, or just general ideas. Do this daily, and you'll notice your ears getting sharper and your confidence growing quickly. We're going to go even deeper into IELTS English listening practice and how to actually use it to improve your English skills faster than you ever thought possible. In the first part, we talked about what makes listening difficult and how you can train your ears to understand English naturally. We talked about not trying to catch every single word, about practicing regularly, and about using prediction and focus. Now in this part, let's really break down how to make IELTS listening practice part of your daily study routine, how to learn smart instead of hard, and how to avoid the common mistakes that most learners make when they prepare for the test. I know the word IELTS can make you feel nervous because it sounds like something only for professionals or advanced students, but believe me, if you use it in the right way, IELTS listening materials can be your best friend for learning real, natural English. So let's take this slow and easy, like a good long chat between friends. Now, the first thing you need to understand about IELTS listening materials is that they are not just test questions, they are real English in action. Many students make the mistake of only using IELTS listening tests to check their score. They listen once, write the answers, check the score, and then move to the next test. But that's not real learning. That's just testing. To learn, you have to work with one test deeply. It's better to spend 2 or 3 days on one IELTS listening recording and really study it, rather than doing 5 tests quickly and forgetting them all. So here's how you can do it the smart way. Step 1. Listen once without looking at the questions. Just listen like you're hearing a story or a conversation. Try to understand the main idea. Don't worry about the answers yet. This first listen helps your ears get used to the speaker's accent and speed. Step 2. Listen again, and now look at the questions. Try to answer as many as you can, but don't panic if you miss some. Step 3. Check your answers, and then read the transcript while listening again. When you follow the transcript, notice how the words sound compared to how they're written. This is where you learn pronunciation patterns and linking sounds that you might have missed before. Step 4. Play this same recording again without reading this time and see how much better you understand now. You'll be surprised. This kind of repeated, focused practice helps you remember the vocabulary, rhythm, and structure of English much more deeply than just doing random tests. Another thing you can do with IELTS listening materials is use them to build your vocabulary naturally. Every time you listen, write down new words or phrases that catch your attention. But here's the trick. Don't just write the word. Write the whole sentence you heard it in. For example, if you hear, "I'm looking forward to meeting you," write the whole thing, not just look forward. This way, you understand how it's used in real context. Later, you can practice speaking those sentences out loud. That's how you move from memorizing to actually using English. And remember, IELTS listening includes many different kinds of situations, conversations in daily life, people giving information over the phone, students talking about assignments, professors giving lectures. Each one gives you a new type of vocabulary and tone. For example, when someone books a hotel room, you learn words about travel and accommodation. When someone talks about research, you learn academic words. When someone gives directions, you learn prepositions and location terms. So, you're not just preparing for the test, you're learning real English for real life. That's why IELTS listening is such a powerful tool for overall language improvement. Now, let's talk about the common mistakes learners make. The first one is panic. When people hear something they don't understand, they freeze. They stop listening and start thinking, "Oh no, I missed it." And while they're worrying, they miss the next sentence too. So the rule is simple. Never stop listening. Even if you miss one answer, let it go and focus on the next part. Sometimes you can guess the missed answer later from context. The second mistake is writing answers while the audio is still playing. You see, IELTS is tricky because you have to listen and write at the same time. But if you spend too long writing, you'll miss what comes next. So train yourself to write short notes or keywords quickly and then complete the answer during the breaks between sections. For example, if the answer is the City Museum, you can quickly write museum and then fill in city later. This saves time and keeps you focused. Another big mistake is not using the time before each section wisely. In IELTS listening, before the recording starts, they always give you a few seconds to read the questions. Many students just sit and wait during this time, but that's a golden moment. You should read the questions carefully and predict what kind of information you're about to hear, a number, a place, a reason, or a date. That little bit of preparation helps your ears get ready and your brain stay alert. And of course, spelling errors. They're small but can cost you marks. In IELTS listening, even one spelling mistake makes your answer wrong, even if you understood it correctly. So, always double-check your spellings. Practice writing common words like library, environment, accommodation, and February. These are words that many test takers spell wrong. The more you practice them, the less you'll lose easy points. Now, let's talk about how to make listening fun. I know IELTS listening sounds serious, but it doesn't have to be boring. You can mix IELTS materials with fun listening practice. For example, after you do one IELTS test, take a break and watch a short English video on a similar topic. If your test was about traveling, watch a travel vlog. If it was about science, Watch a simple science documentary in English. That way, you connect your IELTS learning to real-life English. It makes learning more enjoyable and helps you remember words longer because your brain loves interesting content. Also, remember that listening and speaking are connected. When you listen, you're learning how people express ideas. When you speak, you're using that same rhythm and tone. So, after each listening practice, spend a few minutes speaking about what you heard. Summarize the audio in your own words. Say something like, "The recording was about a student booking accommodation near the university. She asked about prices and facilities." When you speak out loud, your brain organizes information better, and you build your fluency naturally. One of the best habits you can develop is keeping a listening diary. Every day after practice, write a few lines about what you listened to and what you learned. It doesn't have to be long, just a few sentences. For example, today I listened to a conversation about travel plans. I learned new phrases like catch a flight, book in advance, and check-in counter. I understood about 70%. This kind of reflection helps you see your progress clearly over time. It also keeps you motivated because you can look back and see how much you've improved. Now, let's talk about something that most learners ignore: emotional control during the test. You might have perfect English skills, but if you're too nervous, your brain won't work properly. I've seen students who understood everything in practice, but during the real test, they panic and lose focus. So, how do you stay calm? First, remember that IELTS listening is predictable. The question types and structure never change much. Once you understand the format, nothing will surprise you. Second, take deep breaths before each section starts. It helps your brain relax. And third, tell yourself it's just another practice session. The moment you treat the test like a normal task, your performance improves automatically. Now, if you're preparing at home, you might wonder how much time you should spend on listening each day. The answer depends on your schedule, but even 30 minutes of focused listening daily can make a huge difference in a month. But make sure it's active listening. That means you're not just hearing the sound, you're thinking about meaning, pronunciation, and new words. Quality is more important than quantity. If you ever get tired of IELTS recordings, switch to podcasts. There are many great English podcasts about travel, culture, or even funny stories. Try to listen without subtitles first, then with subtitles later. Compare what you heard to what was actually said. This helps you understand the difference between your perception and the real sounds. Slowly, you'll find that your accuracy improves. Another great way to improve fast is to use transcripts creatively. Let's say you have an IELTS recording with a transcript. Read the transcript aloud, like you're one of the speakers. Try to copy the intonation and emotion. Then, record yourself and listen to the difference between your version and the original. It might sound weird at first, but it's incredibly powerful. It helps you hear your own mistakes, fix pronunciation, and improve your listening and speaking together. Sometimes learners also ask me, "Jenny, how do I deal with different accents? British, Australian, American, they all sound different." And yes, that's true. But don't be scared of accents. Think of them like different styles of music. At first, you might prefer one kind, but the more you listen, the more your ears adapt. Start with the accent that feels easiest for you, then gradually try others. The key is exposure. The more you hear, the less strange it feels. And let's not forget motivation. Learning English listening can sometimes feel slow because progress is invisible at first. You might think, I'm listening every day, but I still don't understand movies. That's normal. Improvement in listening happens quietly. Then suddenly you realize, hey, I understood that whole video. So, don't give up. Keep going, trust the process, and remind yourself that every minute of listening adds up. Before we wrap up this part, let's make a quick summary in simple words. IELTS listening is not just about answering questions, it's about learning to understand real English. Don't rush through many tests. Work deeply with one. Listen multiple times, read the transcript, repeat out loud, and write a short summary. Mix IELTS practice with fun, real-world English content. Focus on understanding, not perfection. Be patient, consistent, and kind to yourself. If you do that, I promise you'll start seeing results, not just in IELTS, but in your everyday communication too. We're moving into one of my favorite parts of learning, building real-life listening confidence. You know, it's one thing to practice IELTS listening tests in a quiet room, but it's something completely different when you step into the real world and try to understand people speaking English naturally at full speed, with all their accents, emotions, and little expressions that aren't in any textbook. So, in this part, we're going to talk about how to connect what you learn from IELTS listening practice to everyday English, like movies, podcasts, conversations, and even songs. Because at the end of the day, your goal isn't just to pass a test, right? You want to actually use English in your life, talk with people confidently, and understand what they're saying without feeling lost or nervous. So, let's talk about how to do that in a simple, friendly way. First of all, let's talk about the idea of real English. Many learners tell me, Jenny, I understand IELTS audios, but when I watch a movie or talk to a native speaker, I can't understand anything. And that's completely normal. IELTS audios are clear, slow, and carefully recorded for learners. Real English, on the other hand, is full of connected speech, informal words, background noise, and people interrupting each other. But don't worry, you can train your ears to handle that too. The secret is exposure plus patience. Think of your ears like a camera lens. When you start using it, everything is blurry. But if you keep focusing, the image slowly becomes clear. That's what happens with English listening too. You just have to keep exposing yourself to real sounds, even when you don't understand everything at first. The more you hear, the faster your brain adapts. One of the best ways to start training with real English is by using movies or TV shows, but the trick is to use them smartly. Don't just watch for fun. Use them as a learning tool. Start with a show or movie that's easy to follow. Maybe something you've already seen in your own language. That way, you already know the story and you can focus more on the English. Watch with English subtitles at first, not your native language subtitles. Listen carefully to how the actors say things. Notice how the words you see on the screen are actually spoken differently. For example, on the subtitle it says, "What are you going to do?" But you hear, "What you gonna do?" That's how real English sounds. After a few scenes, pause and repeat out loud what the characters say. Copy their tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. It might feel funny, but it's like training your mouth and ears at the same time. Another fun method is to use YouTube videos or vlogs. There are so many great English creators who speak naturally but clearly. You can search for travel vlogs, food vlogs, or even simple daily routines. Watch short clips, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long, and focus on understanding them completely. First, listen without subtitles. Then, watch again with subtitles and see what you missed. Finally, listen once more without reading and see how much better you do. This method really works because it combines practice and enjoyment. When you like the content, you naturally remember more. Now, let's talk about podcasts. They're amazing because they help you listen to natural conversations while doing other things. You can listen on the bus, while walking, or even when you're cleaning your room. But again, don't just let them play in the background. Try to choose one topic you're interested in, maybe health, movies, self-improvement, or travel, and listen actively. If you hear something interesting, pause and repeat it. If there's a new word, note it down and look it up later. You can even shadow parts of the podcast. That means repeat right after the speaker, almost like an echo. This shadowing technique improves your pronunciation, rhythm, and understanding all at once. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes you'll feel stuck. You'll listen to something and think, I don't understand a single word. That's okay. Don't quit. At that moment, just take a deep breath, smile, and say to yourself, it's fine. I'm training my ears. Even if you don't understand, your brain is still learning. It's hearing the sounds, the flow, the tone, all those little details that build up over time. And one day, something amazing will happen. You'll suddenly realize you can understand things you never could before. That's the magic of consistency. Another thing that helps build real-life listening confidence is learning to deal with accents. English is spoken in so many different ways: American, British, Australian, Canadian, Indian, and even Bangladeshi or Filipino accents. The good news is that IELTS already uses a few of these accents, so your test practice is actually helping you prepare for real life too. But to go further, you can intentionally listen to different accents online. For example, if you're used to American English, try watching a few British YouTubers. If you're used to British, listen to some Australian podcasts. At first, you'll find it hard, but after a few weeks, it'll feel normal. The more variety your ears hear, the stronger your listening muscles become. Also, don't forget about songs. Music is one of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to improve your listening. Choose slow, clear songs with lyrics you can understand. Listen several times and try to sing along. Notice the way the singer pronounces the words. Often they blend words together, just like people do when they speak fast. For example, I'm gonna instead of I am going to. When you sing along, you practice connecting sounds naturally, and it helps your speech sound smoother too. Now, let's connect all this back to IELTS again. When you train with real English, movies, podcasts, songs, you're actually preparing for IELTS in a deeper way because you're improving your overall comprehension, speed, and vocabulary. The IELTS test doesn't just check your ability to understand academic English. It also tests if you can catch meaning in everyday situations. So, the more you expose yourself to real English, the more confident you'll feel in the exam. Let's talk about another practical tip: listening for tone and emotion. In real life, people don't just use words to express meaning, they also use tone. Sometimes, you can understand how someone feels even without catching every word. For example, if someone says, "Yeah, right," you can tell from the tone whether they're agreeing or being sarcastic. In IELTS listening, tone can also help you find the answer. For instance, if a speaker sounds uncertain, that might mean the answer is changing. So start paying attention not only to words, but also to the speaker's attitude. This will make you a more complete listener. Now, I know some of you may think, but Jenny, my English environment isn't very strong. I don't live in an English-speaking country. And that's totally fine. You can still create your own English world wherever you are. Surround yourself with English. Set your phone language to English. Watch English shows. Follow English accounts on social media. Label things around your house in English, and talk to yourself in English. Yes, really, talk to yourself. Describe what you're doing, like, I'm making tea, or I'm cleaning my room. It may sound silly, but it helps your brain think in English, which makes listening easier too. When your mind starts processing English naturally, you'll find that your listening improves even without extra effort. Let me also share something very practical. Don't be afraid of silence. Many learners, when they don't understand something, immediately stop and replay it again and again. That's fine sometimes, but you should also train your brain to move forward. Real conversations don't stop for you to rewind. When you keep going, you learn to understand meaning from context. For example, if someone says, I was going to the something, but it was closed, even if you miss the middle part, you still understand they went somewhere, and it was closed. Context gives you clues, and that's how native speakers also understand each other. So practice listening for overall meaning, not perfection. Another technique I really love is dictation practice. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Take a short audio clip, maybe 20 or 30 seconds long, and try to write down everything you hear. At first, you'll miss a lot, but that's okay. Then, check the transcript or subtitles and compare what you wrote. This helps you notice small sounds, articles, and endings like s or ed that you may usually skip. Dictation trains your ears to be precise, and it's one of the best exercises for IELTS preparation too. And, learning listening is not only about ears, it's also about your mindset. If you think listening is difficult, it will feel difficult. But if you think of it as a fun challenge, your attitude changes. Treat every listening session like a game. Can I catch that word? Can I guess the meaning before checking? Can I recognize the accent? Little games like this keep your brain curious and active. Also, celebrate your small victories. If yesterday you understood only 40% of a video, and today you understand 60%, that's progress. Reward yourself for that. Maybe enjoy your favorite snack or song. Positive reinforcement keeps you motivated. Remember, the only person you're competing with is yourself. Sometimes I meet students who say, Jenny, I listen every day, but I still feel stuck. When that happens, I tell them to change the material. Sometimes your brain gets tired of the same style. If you've been listening to academic English for a month, switch to something funny or emotional. Our brains love variety. It refreshes your focus and makes you learn faster. Now, let's talk about confidence when talking to real people. I know this is scary for many learners. You might think, what if I don't understand them? Or what if I make mistakes? But here's the truth. Native speakers don't care if your English is perfect. They care about communication. So even if you only understand 70%, smile, nod, and ask simple questions like, sorry, could you repeat that? Or what do you mean by that? That's what real communication looks like. And every time you talk, you gain experience, which improves your listening more than any book ever could. If you can, try to join online English communities or language exchange groups. Talk with people from different countries. At first, it'll be hard, but soon you'll realize that understanding different accents becomes much easier. It also helps you build confidence for IELTS speaking, which is a great bonus. Before we close this part, I want you to remember one golden rule. Listening is not about perfect hearing, it's about smart understanding. You don't need to catch every sound, you just need to understand the message. When you train your ears to focus on meaning instead of words, you'll not only pass IELTS, but also enjoy English like never before. So, for your small challenge this week, try this. Choose one English video or podcast that you really like. Listen to it 3 times. First without subtitles, second with subtitles, and third without again. Then, write a short summary in English about what you heard. Even 5 sentences are enough. Do this for 7 days and watch how your listening and confidence grow together. We've already talked about IELTS listening, real-life English, accents, and how to train your ears. It's time to go even deeper and talk about something that really decides how fast you learn, your daily habits and mindset. You see, learning English is not only about study materials. It's about the little things you do every single day that slowly change the way your brain works. So today, we'll talk about how to make English part of your life, how to learn quickly without stress, how to stay motivated, and how to connect listening with other skills like speaking, reading, and even thinking in English. I promise by the end of this part, you'll have a clear idea of how to turn your English learning into a natural, enjoyable routine that fits your life easily. Let's start with one simple truth. You don't learn English only when you're studying. You learn all the time. Every time you hear something in English, read something in English, or even think about English, your brain is working in the background. It's like a muscle that grows a little stronger every day. The problem is, many learners only study English for exams, and when the test is over, they stop. But the fastest learners are those who make English a part of their daily lives, not just a subject. You don't need hours and hours. You just need consistency. Even 15 minutes a day, done with focus and interest, is better than 3 hours once a week. So the first rule of learning quickly is, small steps, done regularly, beat big steps done rarely. Now let's talk about how to actually do that. You can start by creating what I like to call an English bubble around yourself. That means you try to make English appear naturally in your everyday environment. Change your phone and social media language settings to English. Watch short videos or read small articles in English. Listen to English music when you're commuting. Label things in your house with sticky notes like mirror, door, cup, or chair. It sounds childish, but it really works because your brain keeps seeing English words again and again until they feel natural. You can even talk to yourself in English when you're alone. Describe what you're doing, like, I'm cooking rice or I'm cleaning the table. It might feel funny at first, but this kind of self-talk helps your brain start thinking in English automatically. Once your mind starts thinking in English, your listening and speaking both become easier. Another powerful habit is reading aloud. Take any short English text, maybe a news article, a story, or even a transcript from an IELTS audio, and read it out loud with expression. When you do this, you're training your mouth, your ears, and your brain at the same time. You start hearing how English sounds, how sentences rise and fall, and how words connect together. This habit also helps your pronunciation and confidence, and the best part is that you can do it anytime, anywhere. Let's also talk about combining listening and speaking practice, because these two skills are best friends. After you listen to something, don't just stop there. Summarize what you heard. Say it out loud in your own words. For example, if you listen to a short story about travel, you can say, "The story was about a man who went to Paris. He lost his passport, but later he found it again at the hotel." It doesn't have to be perfect grammar. Just say it. This small speaking step after listening helps your brain connect hearing and speaking instantly, which is exactly what happens in real conversations. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes it's hard to stay motivated. There will be days when you feel tired, lazy, or frustrated. You might think, "Ugh, I've been learning for months and I still can't understand everything." That's totally normal. Everyone goes through that stage. The secret is to keep going even when you don't feel like it. I always tell my students, learning English is like climbing a hill. At first, it feels slow, but once you reach the middle, you start seeing how far you've come. That feeling keeps you moving. So on the days when motivation feels low, try to remind yourself why you started learning English in the first place. Maybe you want to study abroad, get a better job, travel more easily, or just feel confident talking to people around the world. Whatever your reason is, keep it close to your heart. Write it down somewhere you can see every day, maybe on your phone wallpaper or a sticky note on your desk. It will remind you to keep moving, even slowly, because slow progress is still progress. Another thing that helps with motivation is variety. Don't always do the same type of practice. If you're bored with IELTS listening, switch to watching a movie. If you're tired of reading, listen to a podcast. If you're bored with academic English, watch a funny YouTube video. The brain learns better when it's having fun. And remember, fun doesn't mean useless. Even a comedy show or a song can teach you real pronunciation, idioms, and natural expressions. Let's also talk about mistakes because many learners fear them too much. You see, mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are signs of learning. When you make a mistake, that's your brain trying to understand how English works. So don't be afraid to get things wrong. The only real mistake is to stop trying. When you listen to something and don't understand, that's okay. It means your brain is discovering something new. Keep going, and that new thing will become normal soon. Now, one of the best habits you can create is something I call English reflection time. Every night before you go to sleep, take just 5 minutes to think about your English day. Ask yourself, what English did I hear today? What new words did I learn? What did I understand that I couldn't before? You can even keep a small English journal and write 1 or 2 lines each day. For example, today I listened to a podcast about food. I learned the word delicious means tasty. This small reflection helps your memory because writing or speaking about what you learned tells your brain, this is important. Please remember it. Another thing that helps you learn faster is focusing on connection, not perfection. Many learners worry too much about grammar or accent. They think, if I don't speak perfectly, people will laugh at me. But that's not true. Communication is about connection, understanding, and being understood. Nobody cares if your accent is different. People care if you're friendly and clear. So instead of trying to sound perfect, try to sound confident. Confidence makes your English instantly stronger. And here's something interesting. The more confident you are, the better you'll listen to. When you're relaxed, your brain processes sound better. But when you're nervous, your ears close up. So next time you're listening, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and smile. Yes, smile. Smiling actually helps your body feel calm, and calmness helps your brain focus. Let's talk about your environment for a second. If you're surrounded by people who don't speak English, that can make learning harder, but not impossible. You can still create an English environment online. Join online groups, forums, or chats where people talk in English. Comment on English YouTube videos or join English Facebook pages. Even simple things like writing a short comment in English once a day helps your brain stay active. Don't worry about being perfect. People appreciate effort. Also, set small, realistic goals. Instead of saying, "I will become fluent in English," try, "I will listen to one English podcast every morning." Instead of, "I will improve my pronunciation," say, "I will repeat one sentence from a movie every night." When you set small goals, you achieve them easily, and that success keeps you motivated. It's like climbing stairs. One step at a time takes you to the top. Now, let's talk about how to learn quickly without stress. Many people try to study too much at once, and they burn out. The trick is to study smart. Don't just sit for hours. Study in short, focus sessions. Use the Pomodoro technique. Study for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 sessions, take a longer break. This keeps your mind fresh and helps you remember better. Also, mix your skills. For example, after listening practice, do a bit of speaking. After reading, do some writing. This variety keeps your brain active. Another quick way to learn is by imitation. Choose your favorite English speaker, maybe a YouTuber, actor, or IELTS teacher, and try to imitate their speaking style. Listen carefully, repeat what they say, copy their tone and rhythm. When you do this often, your listening and pronunciation improve naturally because you start thinking in patterns of real English, not translations. And speaking of thinking, let's talk about that. One of the biggest steps in learning English quickly is to start thinking in English. At first, you'll still translate from your native language, but slowly, if you expose yourself to enough English, your brain starts skipping translation. For example, when you hear the word apple, you won't think of your native word first. You'll just picture an apple. That's when English starts feeling natural. So try to think simple thoughts in English throughout your day, like, "It's sunny today," "I'm hungry," or "I need to finish this work." Over time, your brain will get used to it, and your listening comprehension will improve automatically because your brain won't waste time translating anymore. Let's also talk about rest. It might sound strange, but rest is part of learning. When you sleep, your brain organizes everything you learned during the day. So if you're studying hard but not sleeping enough, your progress slows down. Try to sleep well, eat well, and take small breaks between study sessions. A relaxed mind learns faster than a stressed one. And of course, be kind to yourself. Many learners compare themselves to others. "My friend speaks better than me," or "that person got a higher IELTS score." But comparison steals your joy. Everyone's learning journey is different. Maybe your friend started earlier or had more opportunities, but that doesn't matter. What matters is your own progress. You are not in a race. You are on your own path. Celebrate your improvement, no matter how small. Before we end this part, I want to remind you of something very important. Learning English is not just about words, grammar, or listening skills. It's about opening doors. It gives you more opportunities, more confidence, and more connection with people all over the world. Every time you learn a new word or understand a new sentence, you're growing not just as a language learner, but as a person. So never think your effort is wasted. Every small moment counts. We've talked about IELTS listening skills, real-life English, daily habits, motivation, and how to make learning fun and easy. Now, in this last part, we're going to bring everything together. Think of it like a roadmap that takes you from where you are right now to where you want to be, confident, fluent, and comfortable with English. I'll show you a simple weekly plan you can follow, how to keep improving after this video, and some last words of encouragement that will help you keep going no matter what happens. So, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's wrap up this journey together. First of all, let's remember why listening is such a big deal. Listening is the skill that builds all the others. When you listen carefully and often, your brain picks up rhythm, pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar patterns, everything. The reason many people struggle with English speaking or reading is because they never really trained their ears. So, from now on, make listening your best friend. You don't need to sit with a notebook all the time. You can learn just by living your life with English in your ears. Play English podcasts while cooking, listen to news while exercising, or even keep English radio on in the background. You might not catch every word, but your brain is absorbing more than you think. Over time, your understanding will grow naturally, and one day you'll surprise yourself when you understand something without even trying. Now let's talk about a simple weekly plan that you can follow to learn English quickly and smoothly. Don't worry, it's flexible, not strict. You can adjust it to your own schedule. Let's start with Monday. On Monday, focus on listening and vocabulary. Choose one short English video or podcast that interests you. It could be about travel, science, lifestyle, or even IELTS tips. Listen once without subtitles, just to test yourself. Then listen again with subtitles and note down 3 to 5 new words. Don't write too many. Focus on quality, not quantity. Try to use those words later in your own sentences. On Tuesday, practice speaking and imitation. Take a short clip from a movie or an interview, something that sounds natural, and try to repeat exactly what the speaker says. Pause after each sentence and imitate the tone, rhythm, and emotion. This is called shadowing, and it's one of the best ways to sound natural. It's okay if it feels difficult at first. With time, it becomes fun, almost like singing along to your favorite song. Wednesday can be your reading and pronunciation day. Read an English article, a story, or even an IELTS passage aloud. Focus on clarity, not speed. When you read aloud, your ears learn what your mouth can do. Record yourself if possible, and listen back. You'll notice small mistakes or strange sounds, and that's how you fix them. Thursday is your writing and reflection day. Take 10 minutes to write something in English, maybe a journal about your week, your thoughts, or what you learned. Don't worry about grammar too much. The goal is to express yourself freely. After writing, read it aloud and listen to how it sounds. That helps connect your writing, reading, and speaking. Friday can be a revision and confidence day. Review the week. Go back to the words or expressions you learned. Listen again to one of your favorite audios from earlier in the week. You'll be surprised how much more you understand now. Celebrate that progress. Tell yourself, wow, last Monday I didn't understand this part, but now I do. That's real growth. Saturday should be your fun English day. Watch a movie, listen to songs, or play English games. Don't treat it like study time. Just enjoy English naturally. Pick something that makes you laugh or smile. When you enjoy English, your brain learns faster because it releases happy chemicals like dopamine that help with memory. And Sunday, your rest and reflection day. Don't push yourself. Take a break, but still let English exist softly around you. Maybe listen to a relaxing podcast before bed, or think about what you've achieved this week. You can ask yourself, what new words do I remember? What parts were difficult? What did I enjoy the most? This gentle reflection helps your next week start fresh and focused. If you follow this simple plan for even 1 month, you'll see a clear difference. Your listening will feel sharper, your confidence will grow, and English will start to feel like a natural part of your daily life. Now, let's talk about what happens after this stage. Once you start feeling comfortable but want to reach a higher level, like the C1 or IELTS Band 8+ range. The key here is to challenge yourself little by little. If you always listen to easy content, your brain won't grow. So try to include more advanced materials, maybe TED Talks, BBC News, or academic podcasts. At first, you'll understand only half, maybe less. That's fine. The goal is not to understand everything, but to train your brain to handle real-life English speed and complexity. The more you expose yourself, the more patterns you recognize. Another important step is to connect your listening practice with real people. Join online conversation clubs or English groups. Many websites and apps offer free sessions where you can talk with learners from other countries. Talking to real people helps you realize that everyone makes mistakes and that communication is more important than perfection. It also helps you learn new accents and expressions that no textbook can teach. Let's also talk about the emotional side of learning, because sometimes it's not just about skill, it's about mindset. There will be days when you feel stuck, when you think you're not improving, or when you feel shy to speak. That's okay. Everyone who has learned English has felt the same at some point. The trick is to accept those feelings but not let them stop you. You can say to yourself, yes, today is a hard day, but I'll try again tomorrow. Progress is not a straight line. Sometimes you go up fast, sometimes slow. But as long as you keep going, you're still winning. Here's another small secret. Teach others what you learn. It might sound strange, but when you explain something to another person, maybe a friend or even to yourself, you remember it better. So if you learn a new word or expression, try using it in a sentence and share it with someone. You can even start a small English diary on social media. It doesn't have to be big, just one post a day, like, today I learned the phrase once in a while. It means sometimes. Teaching is learning twice. Now, let's connect everything back to IELTS listening because many of you are learning English for that exam. Remember, IELTS listening is not about tricks, it's about habits. If you follow this kind of regular English exposure plan, IELTS listening will feel easier because your ears will already be trained. You'll be used to different accents, natural speed, and topic changes. You'll also have stronger focus because you've practiced active listening daily. So when you take the test, you won't panic. It will just feel like another normal listening practice. During the IELTS test, stay calm and trust your training. Don't panic if you miss one word. Keep listening. Sometimes the answer comes in the next sentence. Use your prediction skills. Look at the questions before the recording starts and guess what type of information you'll hear. A number, a name, a location. And remember, practice with real IELTS materials, not random videos, at least once or twice a week to stay familiar with the test style. Now, I want to give you a bit of inspiration because I know many learners struggle with self-doubt. You might think, maybe I'm too old to learn, or my English will never be good enough. But let me tell you something. Language has no age limit, and effort always wins. I've seen students who started at 40 or 50 and reached fluency within 2 years just because they stayed consistent. They didn't give up when it was hard. They didn't compare themselves to others. They just kept doing a little every day, and that's what made them successful. You can do the same. And remember, speed is not everything. Everyone learns at their own rhythm. The goal is not to finish fast, but to enjoy the journey. Every word you learn, every sentence you understand, every mistake you correct, they're all small victories. Celebrate them. Maybe treat yourself to something small when you reach a goal, like watching your favorite movie or having a special snack. Rewards make learning feel joyful, not like a chore. One more tip before we finish. Stay curious. Curiosity is the heart of learning. Don't just memorize, explore. If you hear a new word, don't stop at the meaning. Look for how people use it in real life. If you watch a movie and hear an expression you like, write it down and try it yourself later. The more curious you are, the faster you'll grow. All right, my dear friends, let's take a moment to reflect. You've learned about listening techniques, pronunciation, habits, motivation, and even a weekly plan to keep improving. You now know that learning English is not about memorizing. It's about living the language. You know that mistakes are part of growth, that practice can be fun, and that confidence is built step by step. And most importantly, you've learned that English is not just a language, it's a bridge. It connects you with people, ideas, and opportunities around the world. So, wherever you are right now, I want you to feel proud. You are doing something powerful, investing in yourself. Every minute you spend learning English is a gift to your future. Don't wait for the perfect time to start speaking or listening. The perfect time is now. Even if your English isn't perfect yet, use it anyway. Speak, listen, laugh, learn, repeat. That's the real secret. And before we end, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me here on English Lab. Thank you for trusting me to guide you on this journey. If this series helped you even a little, please share it with your friends who are also learning English, because learning together makes it easier and more fun. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to English Lab for more lessons, practice sessions, and real English talk every week. All right, my wonderful learners, that's the end of our full guideline, IELTS English Listening Practice, full guideline how to learn English quickly. I hope you keep these lessons close to your heart, and remember that learning English is not a destination, it's a journey. You've already started walking, and the path ahead is full of new sounds, new words, and new connections waiting for you. Keep going, keep believing, and keep listening. You're doing amazing. This is Jenny from English Lab, signing off with lots of love, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye-bye.